All right, so we are on to unit 4, day 4 notes. As you see up here with the objectives, there is so much to cover. A lot of times, like I said before, there are multiple objectives in one problem, so it may look daunting, but we will get through this as best we can, of course, as always. All right, so let's start here. We're solving for x, and it goes right into those fractions. It shouldn't scare you because we have our handy dandy calculator that does fractions. So let's do that together. Um, Hopefully there's like enough room here, but I think we'll be able to manage. So it's going to be -2 over -3 over 2x. And again, um, print this out and then we can do it together. It really helps. If we were in a classroom setting, that's exactly how it will go. You'd print it out and we'd talk about it in our lesson, and then you still have to do the ALEC. It's the same exact situation. So if you carry this class kind of like the lessons or like the class in the actual classroom, and I think you'd be fine. And again, please do not hesitate to email me if you want to meet me during and set up an appointment for office hours. And even if I have some availability even outside of office hours, so email me and we can get together if you're having issues and problems and you need some help. And I can even share your screen of Alex and show me a couple of problems that you're having issues with. Please utilize my time. I'm here for you. Okay. All right. So now let's move into this problem. We're solving for x, we're getting x by itself. I'm gonna put a line here. In order to get x by itself, let's get rid of this number. It's kind of like how we did the ones that are attached. We're going to do this one first, kind of like we did last notes the day before, which is day 3, where these are attached. We're gonna wait, we're gonna do this one first. So I'm gonna add 3 over 8 to both sides, okay? And it looks kind of just like we did in the one from day 3. So when I put that in my calculator, I'm good with putting it in parentheses because you need to start getting kind of used to that. But I am going to put it into my calculator like I showed you before. So I'm going to put the first one in parentheses in my calculator, and it's going to be -2, excuse me, -2, and then I'm going to use that AB button that we've been using and divide it by 3 basically. Okay, instead of putting divided, I'm going to use this little AB button. It's right over the sign button, and when the answer comes out, it becomes a fraction. So, and then I am, adding, we add it to both sides. And again, I'm going to, for this particular fraction 3 over 8, I'm going to use the AB button over 8 like that, push enter, and as you see, my answer came out as a fraction, which is very nice. So -7 over 24 is my fraction there. Okay, and now for this particular problem, in order to get rid of that -3 over 2 there, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal -2 over 3. Okay, and if I do that on one side, I have to do that on the other side. Okay, I didn't mean to put this in the I don't want to put it like that. All right, so I'm taking this fraction, -3 over 2, and I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. And if I multiply by reciprocal here, I have to do it on this other side, which I did here. And of course, this is what we wanted. We wanted those to cancel out. So I'm going to kind of move it up here. So your x value equals whatever you get when you do that. And we're going to do it together. So we're going to have -7. And again, we're pushing that little AB button. So it gives us that little backwards L that you see right there, divided by 24. And multiplying this time, because again, we had to multiply by the reciprocal. So this is the reciprocal. We're going to multiply by -2, and then the backwards L, and then 3. Put that in parentheses, push enter. Our answer comes out as fraction, just like we wanted. 7 over 36 is our answer. And when it comes out as a fraction here, they simplify it for you. So it's All easy and done. This calculator is very, very, very good investment, $12 from Walmart. Okay. All right, so we're going to go down to the very next, and again, do this problem the same way we did this. Practice these problems, and remember that your key is going to be in Canvas on unit 4, day 4 key. Okay, so then once you practice it, you can look and see if you got it correct. Okay, so let's move here to this problem. They want you to first, looks like combine like terms on the same side. Okay, so that's the first thing. This is the first time you're seeing that. So you're going to combine like terms first. You have 17x minus 9x. So 17 minus 9. You're going to combine those two. It becomes 8. 8x equals 16. So I just combine like terms, and now I have 8x equals 16 here. Kind of bright. Let me see if I can take that down a little bit. How's that? We'll see. All right, so now that we have that as our to get 8 by itself, because we're solving for x, all we have to do is divide by 8 to get rid of it. X is equal to 16 divided by 8, which is 2. Okay, so that's your answer there. So that was pretty straightforward once you combine like terms. Okay, and these problems get longer and longer as the time goes on, of course, because why wouldn't they? They're building on each other, so that hopefully that moving forward, you can just have these huge, long equations. But you have to be able to solve equations. Equations are so important in math moving forward. Okay, so that's why they're building on to have you solving these very, very higher level equations, especially once you get to math 9 and pre-calculus, you have to go that route. All right, so in this particular problem, we're trying to get x by itself, but you see we have 2 x's here. We have to combine those x's. If they're on the same side, we combine them. There's something different that happens if they're on 2 different sides, and it looks like we're going to be going into that later. But let's combine the 2 like terms that are on the same side. So this becomes 26 equals, and we have negative 12, negative 7. Okay, when you're combining like terms, you're adding and subtracting only. So you're adding it, not to say only, but yes, when you're combining like terms, you're adding and subtracting. So it's going to be negative 12 minus 7. That gives us negative 19 x. And then we're going to just bring that negative 9 down. So now we can solve this for x like we would usually would add 9 first. Okay. And this becomes 35 equals negative 19x. And then, of course, you are going to divide by negative 19 on both sides. And let's see, 35 divided by what? Negative 19. Ugh, look at that nasty thing. So let's try. If you doing the backwards L thing, you cannot. Oh, let me see. This backwards little L thing, if you can't have the negative at the bottom. But let's see if 35 divided by 19 simplifies at all. And if you get something like this as a mixed number, 1 and 16 over 19, in order to make it an improper fraction, you would push second and then that little AB again, and then push enter, and it'll make it an improper fraction. It'll go from a mixed number to an improper fraction. And look at this, it's 35 over 19, it doesn't simplify. So that's really our answer. So for x, it's going to equal negative 35 over 19. That's going to be the answer. It's ugly. And I don't like those little ugly decimals unless they ask you to round to the nearest hundredth or something, then I'd make it a decimal. But if not, I believe it is a fraction like that. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. 2w plus 5 equals 4w plus 13. Now, as you see, these w's are on the opposite sides of the equal sign. you cannot combine them across that equal sign. So it's not going to be like combining like terms like we did on this one. You see how they're on the same side of the equal sign, you combine like terms. In this case, two different sides of the equal sign, you do not combine like terms. Okay, you have to get this term, the terms together by, I would always get this term over here. That's what I would do. Okay, so what I do is, if this is a positive 4, I'm subtracting 4W here, and then I would subtract 4W on this side. And as you see how this cancels out there? So now the W's are on the same side. That's exactly what I want to do. I do the opposite of what's going on here. Now, you see this little extra number over here? I need to get rid of that as well, but we'll wait on that, okay? So this becomes 2W minus 4W is negative 2W plus 5 equals what, 13. Okay, so now we have a two-step equation. We've been doing these quite a few times. We're going to subtract 5 first. And we get 8 equals what, negative 2W. Divide by negative 2 on both sides. And this should be, we've been doing this over and over, W equals what? Negative 4 there. But it's that when they're on two different sides, make sure that you have to bring them over to the other side. And we're going to be doing a lot of that kind of stuff moving forward, okay? So instead of this one, let's pick up this one right here, because it has like a couple of things going on that I kind of want to, well, I guess it really didn't matter. All right, so negative 29 equals negative 5x plus 2, and then you're going to have to distribute, it looks like, to that over there, okay? So the equal sign is right here, and don't get lost with the equal sign. I usually want to put a line over it so I know that once we're switching over or trying to get something by itself, I'm going over this equal sign, okay? So first and foremost, let's distribute. Negative 29 equals negative 5x. Distribute 2 times x, that becomes 2x. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Okay? And remember what we said earlier, if they're on the same side of the equal sign, you combine like terms, as opposed to here, they were on two different sides. That's when we had to do the little subtracting, and we're going to be getting back to that, I'm sure. All right? So same side, we're going to combine negative 5x plus 2x. 29 equals negative 5x plus 2 is like negative 3x minus 8. Now this turns into a two-step equation. We can solve this. Add 8 first. Negative 21 equals negative 3x. Divide by negative 3. X looks like it's going to be equal to negative 21 divided by negative 3, which is positive 7. So again, remember, if they're on the same side and we're combining, they're on two different sides, that's when you have to do the opposite, okay? And I'm sure we're going to have more examples of that once we move in and we keep on moving forward, which we do right next, okay? All right, so let's look at this one. This says 4 parentheses x plus 8. It's like you're going to distribute there. Negative 8x plus 8 there, okay? So we have multiple things going on here, and it's going to just get more and more difficult as we go on. We're kind of like moving up the ladder. So let's start by distributing here. This becomes 4 times x, 4x, and then 4 times 8 is 32, right? And then we have negative 8x plus 8. So now we have the x's on the different sides of the equation, okay, of the equal sign. So now we can't combine like terms over the equal sign. So this is when you're going to do the opposite. Positive 8x, positive 8x. So I did the opposite, and I usually bring that x over here. I usually do the same thing every time, okay? There's multiple ways to do that. Alex might teach you another way. That's the way I always do it, and it still will give you the correct answer. And now we get what? 12x plus 32 equals 8, okay? Now what I'm going to do, same solving two-step equation, subtract 32 from both sides. And you're going to get 24. But see, for this one, because it's a negative, so it's 8 minus 32, you'll have negative 24 equals what, 12x? Divide that by 12. X is going to be equal to negative 24 divided by 12, which is negative 2. And once your X is by itself, you know you're done. Okay? And you can go ahead and try that one. That one is going to be just kind of like this one. Make sure you look at the key, canvas. All right. This one, look at this. Ugh, nasty. But we are going to follow our rules and get through it. And then once you get through it, you know that you can do other ones like it. But take your time, okay? And on Alex, I'm sure they're going to give you a lot of practice. So please practice in Alex. All right, so first and foremost, let's distribute. We're going to distribute negative 3 to negative 8, negative 3 to 7. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24W. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. I'm leaving that alone. Okay, I just brought that negative 4W straight down. Here, distribute 4W minus 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, I brought that minus 1 down. What do you think is going to happen here? They're on the same side of the equal sign. Combine like terms on that side. You can't go over here. Got to stay over here. So we have 24W minus 4W. That becomes 20W. I'm bringing negative minus 21 down. And then look over here. These are like terms, right? Because they're just regular numbers. So they're like terms. So this will be 4W minus 29. And now when they're on different sides, I'm going to bring this letter over here. I'll always do the same way. That's me. Again, Alex may teach you another way. So if it's positive, I'm subtracting 4W from both sides. Okay. So this becomes what? 16W minus 21 equals negative 29. Add 21 to both sides. By now, we've been doing these type of problems over again. And practice makes perfect. Okay. Negative 29 plus 21 becomes negative. It looks like negative 8. And then divide by 16. And W equals, now, if this kind of gets you tripped up, go ahead and put it in your calculator. And remember to use our little backwards L. We're going to say negative 8. And then the ABC, we're dividing it by 16. So because we want, if it becomes a fraction, we want our answer to be a fraction. And it does. Negative 1/2 is our answer there. Okay. I don't want you to say 2 if you don't recognize that. But that is going to be negative 1/2. All right. Okay. Move on to the back of this page. Good. Same type of situation here. I don't want to do this one for you. I want you to try this one on your own. The key is on Canvas. Try this. It looks just like the one we just did here. Okay. Looks just like that type of thing. But you have to try it. Again, in Alex, I know they're going to have you try it, but for all intents and purposes, especially with our notes, I want you to try that. And if you're in class, I'd have you try it. Now, let's look at this one. X over 2 plus 5x over 6 equals x over 12. Okay. Now, with this problem here, what I would do, if you see one like this and it has all of the numbers that are over a number of some kind, what I would use is the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor that's between them all. So what is the greatest common factor here? It looks like it's 12, okay? Because 2 goes in, 2 goes into 12, 6 goes into 12, and of course 12 is 12, it goes in 12. So I'm going to use 12 as the number that I multiply everything by. So what do I mean? I'm going to multiply 12 by x over 2, 12 by 5x over 6, and then 12 by x over 12. And you should know that these two kind of cancel each other out, okay? So on this side, I know I'm just going to have an x. But what is going to happen there? What happens when I multiply 12 by, I'm not going to worry about that x right now, but by 5 over 6. 5, and I can use this type of, I can use the ABC for the division. Divided by 6, push enter. Look, my answer becomes 10. So once I multiply this by this, it becomes 10x. I put it in my calculator, okay? Same thing here. If I said 12 divided by, and if you see this x at the top, if there's nothing there, remember that means 1, okay? So what if I was multiplying that by 1 divided by 2? There. Push enter, look, I got 6. So that becomes 6x. So all of those fractions went away. And if you do it correctly, all of the numbers that come out of it will be whole numbers. There won't be any more fractions. So that's basically why we did it, okay? So now we see that with the x's, you want the x's right here, you can combine like terms on the same side. So 6x plus 10x, 16x equals x on this side. And although this looks really, really strange, we're still going to use the same concepts. I want this x on this side, okay? I want the x's together. Although there's no other numbers that are involved there, I'm still trying to get the x's together. So 16x minus 1x is 15x equals, if there's nothing left on this side, it's 0. It's equal to 0. And 0 is like very strange in math. People are scared of zeros. Don't be scared. 0, 0, it's fine. All right. So now when I have to get my x by itself, I still have to divide by that 15 to get rid of it. So x is going to be equal to 0 divided by 15 is just 0. So x is 0. Okay. And you have to know that 0 is not no solution. 0 is an actual number on the number line. Like if you say x is 7, x is 0 is not no solution. No solution means that there's not a number that you can use to describe it. 0 is an actual number, okay? And you will definitely get into that later. All right, so let's look at this one. B over 6 minus 7b over 2 equals v over 12, okay? Same exact concept. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start this problem, but I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to let you finish it. But how will we start? We would start it just like we did this one over here, okay? We have the 6, the 2, and the 12. What is your greatest common factor there? Okay, it looks like it's 12. Same numbers. So it's going to be 12 times this, and then 12 times this, and then 12 times this. And we know that those will cancel out, okay? So then you'll have the V here. So let's put this in our calculator. Oh, sorry, I missed out on that V up there, okay? But let's put this in our calculator. We'll have 12 times, looks like 7 divided by 2, and I'm going to use that backwards L, the ABC, okay? That gave me 42. So this now becomes 42V, and this is 12. And again, if there's no number right there, it's going to be an understood 1. So this will be 12, 1 divided by 6, enter, and it gave me 2V, okay? And then you're going to solve this just like we did here. Go ahead and try that on your own. Look at the key to get the answer, but I want you to kind of finish that on your own. It's going to look just like that. Got it? Good. last page, okay, last page. And this one, it looks like it has a lot of fractions, which is fine because we have our handy dandy calculator that'll help us with fractions, okay? So writing this one out, it says negative 2w minus 4 over 5 equals 1/3 w plus 1/3. Again, we are not scared of fractions. Why? Because we have our calculator. So how would you solve this? First and foremost, we can't combine like terms. We can't combine like terms because they're on two different sides of the line. So we're going to do like we did before, and we're going to get the w's on the same side. Let's subtract 1/3 w. This is the same concept. Even though it's a fraction, don't be scared of it, okay? So then we have basically -2 minus parentheses, what? 1/3. 1. I'm going to use this as the division sign, 3. And my answer is going to be, look, it says -2 and 1/3. So I don't want a mixed number. It's giving you your answer as a mixed number. In order to change that, you have to push second, this little blue button up here, second, and then push that A, B, B, C again. It gives you some weird stuff, but when you push enter, it gives you your answer in an improper fraction. So it changes that mixed number into a fraction that looks a little better. Okay, so -7/3 is what you get when you're here. Okay, and I'll bring down that -4/5. And now we can solve it. We're going to add 4/5 to both sides. So we get -7/3w equals, and then we're going to put that in our calculator. So 1 divided by 3 plus 4 divided by 5, okay? And remember, I'm using that for the division sign so that my answer becomes a fraction. And I do not want that mixed number. So when I get the mixed number, I'm going to push second and that A, B, B, C, and push enter, and it'll give me a fraction, an improper fraction. So 17/15 is my answer there. And now, as you see, we're trying to get W by itself. That is our purpose. We want W by itself. It has a fraction. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal on both sides, okay? If you have that -7/3, we want the reciprocal, -3/7. And if you do, I'm sorry, this has to be -2. -3/7, -3/7, whatever you multiply over here, you have to multiply over here. So as you see, this cancels that out. So the W is by itself. That's exactly what you want. Put that in your calculator. Yeah, we already have 17/15. Just multiply that. Oh, sorry. So parentheses 17 divided by 15, and multiply that by -3 divided by 7. Push enter there. We get -17/35 is our answer. -17/35 is our answer, and I'm very happy with that answer, especially since the calculator helped me out a lot. Okay, good. So that's how we did that one. This one would be the same situation. You could have honestly done this a totally different way as well. Kind of like the way we did it before, by taking the greatest common factor and getting rid of all of those fractions. Could have done it that way, but we did it this way, and that is fine. This will still give you the same answer. You could also get rid of all fractions by multiplying by the greatest common factor. All right, so the LCD. What am I saying? LCD. All right, same thing here, at least common denominator. This right here is the same exact situation that you could solve it multiple ways, but the way I would solve it is by taking the problem, and multiplying by LCD, okay? Which is, what is the common denominator here, okay? It looks like it's going to be 7 and 4, or 28. Okay, I would multiply 7 by 4. 7 times 4 is 28. I want to say that's the least common, least LCD there. So when you do that, 28, I'm going to multiply every single term by 28. Okay, so 28 times -1, 28 times this entire fraction, 28 times this entire fraction. Okay, kind of like what we did before. So 28 times -1 is -28. Now, when you have this 28 here, 28 and 7 kind of, not kind of, truly like kind of simplify each other. So this right here, this 7 kind of makes this 28. Basically, you're dividing that 28 by that 7, and that becomes 4. So now what you have is 4 and then 3w minus 3. So I just brought this down, but the 7 divides into 28 to give you 4. That's how I got that 4 there. Same thing here. 28 divided by 4, okay, is what, 7? So this becomes -7 and then 3w plus 1. I just brought this straight down, okay? And once you do that, now we can distribute. Distribute here, distribute here, distribute here, distribute here. This becomes -28 equals 12w minus 12 minus 21w, because I distributed, I multiplied -7 times 3, -21, and then -7 times 1, minus 7. When they're on the same side as the equal sign, I can combine like terms. So I can combine these two, and I can combine those two. Okay, so I can combine the numbers that have the W's together, and I can combine the ones that have just the regular numbers together. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and I get for W's, I get, I'll leave this the same, -9w. Okay, and then when I -12 and -7 become -19. Okay, so now I'm going to add 19 to both sides, because now I'm trying to get w by itself. This becomes -28 plus 19, which is -9. Okay, now I can divide both sides by -9. So after all of that, our w became -9 divided by -9 is actually 1. And again, this is not simple. It does take time to kind of understand these concepts. But in Alex, you will be working on them till you kind of get it. Let's kind of solve this last one together again. Let's do this kind of like we did that one, okay? All right, so LCD here was the least common denominator. Here, what is basically what's common? What can we like the 8 and the 4? Kind of right here, we did 7 times 4, which is 28, because we know that both of the 28 goes into both of them. But in this case, with 8 and 4, I think my common denominator there would be 8. Okay, you could do 8 times 4 and still get the same concept, but the numbers would be bigger. But 4 goes into 8. Okay, so let's use the 8 as the LCD there. So what I'm doing is multiplying 8 times 5x. Let me see if that's a plus. No, minus 7. And then 8 times this situation, 9x minus 8. And then 8 also times -2. Don't forget that. Okay. Every single solitary term has to be multiplied by 8. So Same situation. What happens here, the 8s cancel out. So what's left over is just the 5x minus 7. 4 divides into 8 how many times? 2. So it makes it 2. So this becomes now negative 2, and then 9x minus 8. And then 8 times negative 2 is what? Negative 16. Okay, that's what's going on there. Then let's go ahead and distribute. So 5x minus 7 just stays. Negative 2 times 9 becomes a negative 18x. Negative 2 times negative 8, positive 16. Okay, I'm leaving that alone. They're on the same side as the equal sign. Combine like terms. Okay, the x's go together, and then the numbers just go together. The numbers go together. All right, so it'll become 5. So basically, negative 18 plus 5 becomes negative 13x. Okay, and then 16 minus 7 is 11. No, what am I talking about? It's 9. 9. Okay, 16 minus 7 is 9, and then over here it's negative 16. Subtract 9 from both sides. And we get negative 25. And then divide that by negative 13 to get your x by itself. X is going to be equal. It really looks like if I did negative 25, or I would say two negatives become positive. That bottom number, when you put it in your calculator with the L thing, it can't be negative. So I'm just going to say 25 divided by 13. It's going to probably give me a mixed number, and push second. A, B, see if it, yep, 25 over 13. This just becomes positive 25 over 13. Doesn't simplify. Okay. Oops, sorry. Positive 25 over 13 is your answer there. And again, it just takes practice. It may seem like a lot, but to be honest with you, this is the direction that it's going, and it's not going to, especially with your equations, they're just going to get larger and larger for the most part. But you do have to practice. Practice makes perfect. Okay. And that is it for unit 4, day 4 notes.